and welcome to the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lanty. My co-host right here is KyleHeath. This is the show where we cover this week's gaming industry-related news. We're talking new and upcoming games, some technology innovation, general gaming industry-related news, and sometimes we sprinkle in a little bit of esports and personalities. So without further ado, Kyle, what have you been up to, man? Did you get a chance to actually play some games?
You already know I did. Let's go.
Heck yeah. You get back on Smite? What game is it?
I think I did play Smite a little bit, but me and the buddy I normally play with, we came to an agreement. We've not been having the best time on Smite the past couple weeks, so we decided we're probably gonna jump back on some of the older stuff. We were playing a while ago, but didn't quite finish, and A Way Out was on that list, so that's our plan this week, just to try and see if we can finish that up. I think we only have like 1 or 2 more sessions we would need to do to finish that, so we're gonna try and finish that up. And then kind of move on to some co-op stuff, and, do all that. Unfortunately, one buddy we normally play with, he is working now mostly on the normal time we play, so it unfortunately just kind of got in the way.
Shame.
But yeah, so it's just me and one other dude, so we're gaming away. But yeah, so probably gonna do that this week. That's the plan. So I'm gonna play some of that. Outside of that, I'm trying to think of what else I played. If I played anything over the weekend, I'm trying to think. Don't think I did. Unfortunately, on Saturday I had to do some work, so I really didn't have much time for too much else on that day. So that got eaten up. So Sunday, I think I just kind of watched some TV. One of my roommates, my roommate has actually gotten into watching House MD. So, and that's one of my favorite shows of all time. Because I like binged it like years ago, and so they're just now watching it, and they're just getting into it. So I was watching it with them on Sunday and a little bit on Saturday too. And I was just like rewatching the show, and it's like just as good as I watched it. That's when I watched it the first time.
Very cool, man.
So yeah, we've been doing that, but getting that in as well. But yesterday, at the time we're recording this, yesterday, Tuesday was when Hellblade 2 came out. So
that's right.
I decided to check it out. I was like, why not? Got some time. And I'm about 2 hours in. And I think so far I'm enjoying it. I think I'll admit the first like hour to hour and a half, it was kind of hard for me to get like invested in the story. It picked up a little bit, and so now I think kind of I'm interested to continue playing and kind of continue on with things. I will say, like, graphically, game looks amazing. Granted, I'm playing on a 1080p monitor, so it's not, the 4K potential, but I still think the game looks good, which is pretty cool. The environments so far have been really interesting and very, it's weird. It's like a very linear game, but also, like, there's a couple settings, even in just the first couple hours, where it's like you're seeing this vast, open kind of world of, like, the island you're on, so it's pretty cool to see all that. Audio is fantastic. I don't know if anyone listening is at all into ASMR, but it's very much like kind of around, like there's voices and stuff that sound like they're like behind your head and like it's like all around you, and they're very like, it's very like kind of 3D audio kind of style for anyone who
immersive.
Yeah, very like immersive kind of that. The audio is audio is really good so far though. It's like it's one of those things whenever people are like whispering in my head and stuff like that, and like in Sinua's head, it's really weird. It kind of like triggers that response in me where it's like I get the tingles. I'm just like, whoa, this is weird. It's just kind of like they're right there. So yeah, audio stuff's interesting. And yeah, it's like I said, I'm not like, I've been seeing some reviews. I think for the most part, like especially on Metacritic, it's been like so far like low 80s, which is pretty good. So and I've seen some people, especially some like diehard Xbox fans and all that, kind of saying in their initial review that they're kind of disappointed about it, but I'm kind of just trying to interpret the game for what it is and kind of go forward. And then hopefully by next week I'll have played the whole thing and could give my opinion fully. But I don't know, first impression, it was kind of slow start, but after a couple hours I'm interested to play more. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I want to hear a review from you. It may be a ranking system, maybe like 1 out of 10.
Yeah,
give some feedback.
I was thinking about that, like as I was playing, where I would put it on our tier list that we did last week, and kind of thinking of that rankings mindset. Like, is it podcast approved? Is it kind of podcast approved? Is it?
I think it's too early to tell, right?
Yeah, for me, it's too early to tell, but I'm hoping But I'm thinking like for my ratings, I might try and go based off that tier list we did of just kind of like those categories because I think I think that'd be interesting from a show perspective for us to just kind of do we think it's podcast approved or not kind of thing.
I think that's an absolutely good idea, and there's a couple of single player games that are coming up, and one of them we're going to mention. It would be a good idea to just start ranking those based on completion. So you and I could just start doing random games like separately, and then get together and just talk about it, and then one or two of us will just start ranking them. You know?
Yeah, we can give our ranks on what we think.
Yeah, and just keep it going because if some people are interested in our reviews or opinions, I think you need to see what we've liked in the past. Otherwise, you can get like a skewed perspective, right?
Yeah,
you might not be able to. Yeah, I think Video Game Donkey did a whole thing on that with game reviewers and how the only way a game reviewer's take or rating on a video game matters is when you know what they liked in the past. Because it's like if you're not going to have somebody that's playing an RPG that hates an RPG give it a good rating,
right? Yeah,
you know, it's like a biased opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah,
you do anything else?
Yeah. Trying to think if I played anything else. I don't know. I think that was pretty much it for me this week. Watched a little.
Very cool.
Watched a little basketball, but that's
Yeah, so did I.
kind of playoffs around and out. So I'm just watching that every now and again. But I don't know. We'll see how much I watch of these finals. I'm not as invested in the teams that are in the finals right now or in these conference finals. So I don't know. We'll see how much I end up watching. But but yeah, so that too. Did you probably didn't play anything this week, Mike? Did you?
No, unfortunately not. Unless you want to count mobile games, blackjack, perhaps, and poker.
Okay. Oh, he's prepping. Okay.
Yeah, I'm heading off to Vegas this weekend. So, for Memorial Day weekend, I'm probably not going to be doing a whole lot of gambling. Mostly just like to keep you entertained for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going there for the food. I'm going there for the touristy stuff. Couple of shows that I'm going to go see. It's going to be a good time. But in terms of gaming, man, no, I don't think so. There's a lot of arcades out there, though. So I'll have a better story next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
I did get on Rocket League for a little bit. I had a little bit of fun playing here and there. Most of my time, man, has just been spent getting ahead on work, doing a whole lot of planning stuff that I got coming up for the year. And I went to go see a Charlotte FC game. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, very cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah, just been out and about. And I think we're gonna get into the budget section of like my summer, to where I'm just like, let me just relax, play some games, enjoy the weather. I am thinking because the flights might be kind of brutal. One's really early in the morning, and then one's like a red eye. And I'm debating whether or not to bring my Switch and play Tears of the Kingdom. I think I should, but I also feel like I could potentially get motion sickness. And I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends on what you can put up with there. What the body will take. So.
Exactly. But this could be a great segue into another portable handheld gaming device.
It sure could be.
Yeah, and every single time we cover these, it seems to get a little bit of traction. I think more and more people are becoming excited about the future of handhelds, so it's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's get into that. So, first article this week is coming from The Verge, Sean Hollister. And he is reporting on the OneXPlayer X1 Mini. It's the most feature-packed handheld gaming PC yet. And he says in the subheading it has swappable SSDs, detachable controllers, detachable keyboard, kickstand, face unlock. So it's got like Face ID kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't call it Face ID because you're Apple, but hey. So Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and Lenovo Legion Go, a bit too simplistic for you. The OneXPlayer X1 Mini is the most gadgety handheld yet. The upcoming 8.8-inch, 144Hz Windows gaming tablet has 2 detachable gamepads like a Switch, a magnetically detachable keyboard cover like a Surface tablet, a kickstand, an easy access SSD slot under the kickstand, new for handhelds, I believe, an Oculink port to connect one of the growing number of eGPUs, Windows Hello automatic face login, as well as fingerprint reader power button, a 65 watt-hour battery, one of the largest in handhelds, multiple USB 4 ports. We're on USB 4, Mike. Think about that.
That is wild.
Crazy.
That's brand new, isn't it?
That's gotta be. I never heard of it. The controller grip, a controller grip to snap its Joy-Con likes together into a wireless gamepad, and the Harman EFX tuned audio. This is interesting. Here's a little screenshot. Those watching the video, you see nice little Switch style controller dock. Yeah, that keyboard, it looks a little nifty. I wonder how that feels typing on it. It seems a little small, but anyway. And importantly, it's got an AMD 8840 8840U processor instead of an Intel Core Ultra chip. So, oh yeah, that swappable SSD. I wonder if it's like, it looks almost like the little square SSD. So it looks like. Anyway, get into this. So the OneXPlayer X1 Mini is a smaller 8.8-inch version of the 10.95-inch OneXPlayer X1. Dude, what kind of these names are like tripping me up?
Dude, they gotta chill with the X's, by the way.
The OneXPlayer X1 put on sale earlier this year, and that one shipped with the same Intel Core Ultra chip that recently underwhelmed us in the MSI claw. OneXPlayer has already dramatically cut the price to the larger Intel-powered handheld, and it just announced an AMD 8840U powered version of it as well. So you can see a little size difference. You got the mini at the top, got the standard at the bottom. So I don't know. I feel like if I'm like getting one of these, I would rather have like the bigger model, but I don't know.
I think so too.
I mean, I feel like the iPad Pro size display would be kind of nice. I don't know.
This thing is incredible looking. You should scroll up a little bit and play the 2-minute trailer that's on YouTube.
Yeah, let's see
For the
this.
people that are viewing, you got to see this thing.
I mean,
well, first of all, it's a promo, of course.
Yeah.
So it's always going to look good. But it just, I don't know. There's something very interesting about the style that they're going to do with this handheld. I really like the idea of adding it to a docking system. Maybe you've never had these before, but I know Lenovo used to make them, where on the bottom of your laptop it had the connection port, and you would just literally slap it on top of this like docking station that would immediately go to all of your monitors. Now this isn't anything new. It just, the graphic, the video reminded me of it, where he's coming in with the entire tablet, he's placing it down, automatically hooks up the mouse, the keyboard, the monitor, and you're good to go. And some of these metrics that they're promising, I mean, dude, Forza Horizon is not an easy game to play, and it's showing 144 frames per second. Really? And they're using gyro? It's like, bro, that's pretty phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, dude.
It just shows how far gaming has come. Like, technology is insane.
Yeah, it really is. I think just being able to attach the GPU to it and just kind of enhance that, I think it's pretty sick. Just kind of turn it into a desktop almost for some games. I wonder how it would perform with CPU intensive games, but that's a hypothetical. We'll finish out the article here. But if I had to pick one between, this is Sean Hollister, if you had to pick one between the nearly 11-inch and 8.8-inch versions, sight unseen in the same size, 65 watt-hour battery, yes, they are the same size, I'd probably choose portability, unless the 8.8-inch keyboard is really cramped or something. Either way, I really want to try it. So do I, Sean. So do I, you know? Hope it doesn't cost too much. See, he's just thinking what I'm thinking right now, Mike. This is like, we're just like linking right now. Hasn't quite begun its Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign yet, but I'll let you know when it does. And we'll try to let you know when it does as well. DMD podcast.
Yeah. I am over here looking at their website, the OneXPlayerStore.com, and they have a OneXPlayer X1 that is going for $1,000. So I'm curious if this is one of well, they're actually doing a flash sale right now. A lot of these handhelds are marked off by $300-$400, going from as high as $1,300, dropping down to $897. This is USD, by the way, US dollars. So I don't know, man. Is this something that intrigues you at all? I'm not a big handheld person. I know I was just talking about the Nintendo Switch, but I play it on the docking station.
Yeah.
Does this interest you at all for like mobile gaming?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about it more so the recent months. I think eventually I would like to get some sort of mobile gaming device. Like kind of, you know, this is years down the line. I'm curious to see kind of how this progresses over the next few years. But I think at some point, yeah, I do want to get something portable. I think that would it'd be like a nice to have kind of thing. especially as lives get busy and whatnot. It would just be nice to have,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm like looking at this still here in the video, and you see kind of the difference in sizes between these. And I didn't realize how much bigger that 10 point, that 11 inches compared to
Oh,
the
it's
8.8.
massive.
So it's definitely a lot bigger. But yeah, I mean, portability wise, the 8.8 almost looks like a Switch kind of deal. It's probably
It
more
does.
closely similar. So um, yeah, it's interesting. I like you were saying though, it looks sleek, so this is definitely something I would consider if I was in the market for a handheld gaming PC. But at the same time, I'm curious to see where this industry goes the next few years and what comes out of it, because I think that's when I'll be most interested. Is probably like a few years from now.
I agree. I think this is right now for me. I'm not in the realm where I'm thinking this is a must-have item.
Yeah,
Although it's looking like, man, if I really had the disposable income and I just wanted to
yeah,
maybe get a deal, this might be the way. So let me give the people a little bit of context here. I'm on their website and I chose the highest end model that they currently have available. I'm stumbling on my words right now, sorry. But it's called the OneXPlayer X1. It's Intel Ultra 155H. I think that means 155 hours. Not sure. I'm off the cuff, just reading on the website. It's a 10-inch monitor, 3-in-1 handheld. Now I chose the highest end option, so 64 gigabytes of RAM, 4 terabytes of storage, plus a bundle for the better GPU and a magnetic keyboard. And that comes out to $2,400, and they discounted it to $2,150. So
man.
we'll see.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
it looks slick. It
it
looks
does.
slick.
I mean, at that rate, like I said, it comes down to, do you have the disposable income, but also like
Yeah.
do you have some sort of need for like a mini computer or something like that? Because if you do, I mean, this could be
Yeah.
an alternative to like a tablet or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm
It's
intrigued.
it's yeah, it's really hard to say because when you get up into that price range of over 2 grand, I mean, you're competing with literal desktops at that
Yeah,
point.
and laptops.
So yeah, and it's like, do you really need a handheld like this?
Yeah,
Do you really? I
who's
mean,
who's the market
you
at
could
that
go
point?
with yeah, you could go with a pretty high end, maybe more powerful laptop and then use a Bluetooth connection to connect any one of your wireless controllers that you might already have. So you never like there's a lot to
Yeah,
think about, I think.
yeah, yeah. There certainly is. I mean, this is some definitely don't have the income right now to purchase something like this, or like the significant desire. Even if I did, so
That's
that's
the big thing. You,
yeah,
you really got to want it.
yeah,
It's interesting though, because I think this is going to be the future of all of gaming. I mean, we talk about it so many times about how mobile gaming is just going through the roof.
yeah.
That's the biggest market that's growing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this industry kind of goes, but I will say, dude, like design wise, this looks like pretty sleek, especially the controllers. So, um, especially the I want to call them Joy Cons, but
Yeah,
the controller
it's
ends.
yeah. I'm on board with that. However, the screen kind of looks ridiculous.
It does.
Scroll down to the last image, and that 10-inch screen, man.
I mean, yeah,
Jeez.
sticks out. That's for sure. That's what I was saying. I didn't notice it until they were showing like the prototypes in the video, and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty big. Pretty
Yeah.
big. We've been talking about the Joy-Con, Switch. What's going on with Nintendo, Mike?
There's a lot of stuff going on with Nintendo. So the most recent news that we're hearing is from Ollie Welsh, who we haven't covered in quite some time, from
Yeah.
Polygon. When was the last time we did a Polygon article?
It's been a while.
been
It's been a
it's
while.
been a while, so it's good to actually get back into Polygon a little bit. But this article is called "Nintendo Acquiring the Studio That Ported Hogwarts Legacy is Super Interesting." So this is an opinion-based article, kind of like an analysis is what it's categorized as. And Ollie over here is saying this feels like a clue to its Switch 2 plans. All right, let's get into it. So, in a move that has surprised, let me zoom in. I got old man eyes now, bro. In a move that has surprised literally everyone, Nintendo has made a studio acquisition. In a rare move, the company bought Shiver Entertainment, a Miami based port specialist from embattled Swedish conglomerate Embracer Group. We talked about this multiple times about Embracer basically
Embracer.
fractured into pieces, dude.
Embracer.
Oh man. All right. So Shiver, notably, is the studio that somehow managed to bring both Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy to Nintendo Switch in 2023. Given the enormous gulf in power between the Switch and the PS5, Xbox Series X, this was no easy task, and the results left quite a lot to be desired. But merely getting feature complete and functional versions of these games up and running on the Switch could be considered an achievement in itself. Yeah, we talked about this a couple of times, and all the devs complain about one hating to port to the Switch, and people meme about it. All the memes about how the graphics look terrible and like blocky,
Yeah.
and people like a lot of developers hate porting on the Xbox Series S.
Yeah, and
Hate
that's the
it.
Series S, dude. Like, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's an
way more
improvement over
powerful
the
than the
Switch.
Switch.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
ugh. Yeah.
it's just all
It's
different, I guess.
every time you see Switches and it's like a port, I'm always waiting for where's it gonna say on the cloud or like mention cloud somewhere because like
Oh
oftentimes I
yeah,
just have
dude.
to run it off cloud base because it's like the device
Oh,
can't
100%.
do it.
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be their fallback option. Nintendo does that too. They did
Yeah,
that with Resident Evil, didn't they?
yeah. Well, that's what,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
that's what I was saying. It's like Switch
Yeah.
did that with Resident Evil. There was a couple others I believe they did cloud ports of, but it's like obviously it's a port because it runs on the device, but also it's like so runs on the cloud. I don't know how it works. It's like strange, but
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like an emulator built in. The Xbox 360 did that with original Xbox games. They had backwards compatibility. I'm using like air quotes here. Uh,
Yeah.
they would grab the old games from the original Xbox and run an emulator on the Xbox 360 for the original Xbox. It wasn't actually a direct port.
Mm.
It was
Oh
very,
yeah.
it was very bizarre.
That's so weird.
Hello, little doggy. All right, let's get into it. So, at any rate, Shiver's work seems to have impressed Nintendo enough that it took the unusual step for Nintendo of dipping into its vast cash reserves and actually buying something. That's a fact. Nintendo is actually the richest company in Japan, going by money in the bank, perhaps precisely because it never spends on itself. Historically, the company has been quite uninterested in late capitalism's desire or obsession with growth over above all else, preferring good old-fashioned profit and Scrooge McDuck style piles of money. Yeah, I think they they have a lot of criticism, but that's one of the things that always gave them a little bit of like positive
Yeah.
PR, that the CEO of the company would take a pay cut in times of crisis to make sure he doesn't have to fire anybody.
Yeah.
But I also heard it's like pretty brutal to work for Nintendo. So,
Yeah, I've
uh,
heard. Yeah, it's both and that's for sure.
mhm. All right, so Nintendo's press release makes it clear that Shiver's expertise is why it bought the studio. It specifically shouts at Shiver's work on Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy, notes the studio's high level, this is quote, high level resources for porting and developing software titles, and says that after acquisition, Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. That's pretty interesting how they're going to be continue the ports for other platforms.
That's yeah.
But what? But why would Nintendo be interested in acquiring a third party? Work for hire port specialists in the first place. There are many studios that specialize in this sort of thing, but they've rarely acquired by platform holders like Nintendo. When this does happen, it's more likely to be a studio that makes shiny, enhanced remasters of older games, like Blue Point Games, which was acquired by Sony in 2021. We actually covered that, I think. Or
I think
maybe I
so.
did.
Yeah, I'm
That
trying to
might have been
remember.
before you came on board.
Maybe Blue Point. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Blue Point
probably
Games.
was.
That was that was during the period of like all these acquisitions.
Yeah.
So, enhanced remasters of older games, then an outfit that specializes in less glamorous work of wrestling the latest releases onto less powerful hardware. The most obvious conclusion is that when it comes to the Switch 2, Nintendo is getting serious about reducing the gap in software libraries between its hybrid handheld and the current generation of home consoles and PCs. It wants AAA games to launch on its next console, and to that end, it has taken the unprecedented step of bringing porting expertise in house so it can offer this service to third party publishers itself. It will probably find a willing market. Square Enix, for one, has recently indicated that it wants to bring its biggest games to as many platforms as it can, including Nintendo's. Well, it's about time. Square Enix is going to go everywhere, baby.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's about time.
so, Shiver is particularly experienced with Unreal Engine titles, which is awesome. And Nintendo has reportedly been demonstrating the Switch 2's ability to run Unreal Engine 5 to its partners. And while the Switch 2 will certainly be less powerful than the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, reports indicate that it will be able to get quite close to them in terms of its visuals, in part thanks to the use of NVIDIA's AI-powered DLSS upscaling technology, which is a crazy good technology. There's one last question. Why does Nintendo mention that even after, in this quote, even after it becomes part of the Nintendo group? So Shiver will continue to work porting games to multiple platforms is the likely scenario here? Or is it more likely a veiled reference to the Switch 2, which Nintendo has not named, though recently admitted exists? What do you think, man?
Hmm.
How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which route it is. It is interesting that they're still kind of working on titles under Nintendo's umbrella, but it seems like Nintendo's just like, hey, whenever we get serious about Switch 2 and all that, like we're gonna need some ports and we're gonna need some expertise. So I think that's when it's really gonna go into effect, probably of like, hey, we need you to focus on this third party stuff whenever that console launches. And I think that's probably where they're gonna shine the most. But I mean, it makes sense. I think for Nintendo to do this and get in-house resources, they don't have to go outside and go out, the company umbrella and do stuff, and they have some control there. So I think it overall makes sense. I don't know. I don't see why not.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that this could actually be a part of, not only when you port something from one platform to the next, you kind of need to make patches or update the game and kind of rebuild it in kind of a way, because like some games won't work well with other platforms, so you need to really kind of finagle it and make it work,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I wonder if that type of expertise that they have could also benefit with maybe fixing, speeding up games that Nintendo makes.
Yep.
I think it's pretty interesting. Who knows? Because we've been hearing about the Switch 2 forever now, it seems like. And I think we expected a full release. I think there was even rumors it was just going to be launched last year. And I don't even think we've seen it, man. So there's a lot of talk on the Switch 2. I just think this is a very smart decision by Nintendo to acquire a successful group that knows how to port like AAA titles to their I mean, it's a fact, but I don't really like saying it. Lesser hardware in a way.
Yeah.
It's just not as powerful. So you got to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you certainly do. Um, yeah. I mean, I pretty much agree with all that. I think. So it's an interesting development, but also I think one that plays in Nintendo's favor pretty well. So excited to see. I mean, it's one of those things like I would almost say, oh, I'm excited to see kind of what they do, but I feel like it's going to be very much like under the radar. And if you hear about like ports and stuff like that, especially on a Switch, like you could probably think it's going to be Shiver working on it, at least to a certain extent. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's one of those announcements where it just you kind of get under the hood a little bit about what Nintendo's trying to do. This is a very unique acquisition. They don't do this often. Having somebody in house that can actually port existing titles to your platform is always going to be good for you. Now it's just going to be a matter of it's going to be automatic from years. Like years from now, it'll just be obvious. It's like, oh yeah, there's going to be another port that's going to come out like maybe 6 months to a year after it goes on other platforms.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if Last of Us 3 comes out on PlayStation, we're going to get a port a year and a half after because Shiver's going to be working on the port to get onto the Switch 2.
Yeah. There's always going to be delay for stuff like that for sure. Just like whenever PlayStation games get ported to PC, right? So
Exactly.
it takes time.
Yeah.
That's obviously not the main priority of a PlayStation developer is working on a PC version. So yeah, it's always gonna be
No,
like
it's
that.
certainly not.
It's gonna be like
But
that. For sure.
it's all about acquisitions, including the next segment in our
Oh,
show
man.
and
Wow.
more acquisitions. This one's come from IGN though. I think this is a big move and it's on Forbes, so you know it's for real.
Yeah. Let me just make sure. Okay, good. So if the top of Forbes is telling me subscribe for $50 a year. So I got nervous. I wasn't gonna be able to see the full article, but never mind. We're good. So this is coming from Forbes. Paul Tassi, the GOAT. I saw he makes YouTube videos the other day. Did not know that, but he makes kind of informative, stuff, kind of on what he covers. So cool. Anyway, Paul Tassi writes, IGN buys 4 major gaming sites as games journalism keeps spiraling. We're buying 4 gaming sites, Iron Mike. We're monopolizing the games news industry, baby.
I feel like everything's getting more and more monopolized. Just everything is owned by like 1 or 2 companies, and those guys are in like price fixing and stuff.
Yeah.
Was it late stage capitalism, dude?
Yeah. Oh man. I just every time I think about acquisitions, I just think about the Disney infograph where it's like giant Disney head and they own everything.
Dude.
It's crazy.
They own a lot of things. It is wild.
You want to get scared
FDR
about
would
something? I'll tell everyone listening. You want to get scared about something? Go look up the Disney infograph for what do they actually own. You'll be surprised at the amount of stuff that is under the Disney umbrella. Yeah. You're probably a little scared, but there you go. Anyways, IGN could be joining that. It could be starting their own, IGN Entertainment, owned by Zeph. I would say Zeph Davis. Zeph Davis. I'm sorry.
I think Zeph.
Zeph seems right. Zeph Davis.
I'm going to find out for you.
Anyways, he has now bought the entire gamer network of brands, which includes at least 4 of the highest profile gaming sites left alive in space and stakes in others. The purchase includes, are you ready for this? It includes Eurogamer, GamesIndustry.biz, okay, big one, Rock Paper Shotgun, the big one, and VG 24/7. Then
we're really gonna only go to. Oh man!
Did they keep their branding?
I'm a little bit ahead. We're only going to IGN, dude.
Yeah, like are we? Did they keep their branding, or is it all just IGN now? Anyway, we'll find out. So they also purchased shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. Yeah, that's it. Digital Foundry is pretty crazy. Nintendo Life, Push Square, yeah, it's all kind of under a similar umbrella, if I'm not mistaken. So it kind of makes sense. The move has already resulted in significant redundancy layoffs of acclaimed journalists across the brands as they are absorbed by a site. That was what I was thinking too. It's like when I not even reading the article, reading the headline, I was like, yeah, there's definitely going to be some layoffs. Like I don't know who, but
guaranteed.
Like, there's no way that there's not going to be people laid off because of this. While consolidation is generally not great in any industry, games journalism is especially struggling, and moves like this are only going to make things worse. Mid-level and smaller sites are already fighting against YouTube and Twitch, and for visibility against Google's increasingly actively hostile search policies, which now include AI ripoffs of their articles as of last week. And I noticed that too. When I started searching Google stuff in my work, I noticed like there's like an AI suggestion now. Like if you search and click enter, dude. Like at the top it has an AI tool like run like a kind of synopsis of the top result or something like that. It's really interesting.
I noticed that too.
But now you have a site like IGN owning 5 major brands that can populate the entire link list of a given topic, in theory. While this is just the latest move, we have other similar ones in the past. Fandom bought GameStop, Giant Bomb, and even Metacritic, the all-important aggregator back in 2022. The Gamer Network has over a dozen publications, including Destructoid, The Escapist, GamePure, and Twinfinite. There are some big-name sites that are relatively standalone, or at least the only gaming sites in their network. Polygon seems like the healthiest, perhaps, while something like Kotaku seems constantly on death's door, with the skeleton staff trying to fight against its poor private equity management. Elsewhere, there are major brands like the New York Times and Forbes. Hey, that's me. That's Paul Tassi. That's him. In the gaming space, covering the massive industry that make it harder for smaller sites to compete. But even there are problems. The Washington Post recently culled almost its entire gaming vertical, cut down to more or less one guy. Hi, Gene. Don't know. Hi, Gene. There's also the public war against game journalists by, in part, the anti-woke crowd who believe the progressive leaning outlets are going extinct because of allegedly activist takes. And there are also console fanboys who are constantly ripping outlets for allegedly favoring one piece of hardware or another. or lambasting them for inconsistent opinions across dozens of writers who have diverse viewpoints. In short, when you bring up the layoffs and general destruction of the industry, the reaction from gamers is often a disheartening, good, they deserve it. It's almost all bad news. Many former bigger names in the space have either fled to PR, game development itself, or have fashioned their own independent entities like Kinda Funny Games or the recently formed Aftermath. Others have realized that you yourself sort of need to be a brand with a big social media presence, paid wall newsletter, or your own YouTube Twitch space to draw a constant audience or a consistent audience. That's what we were talking about whenever Aftermath formed and all these publications formed. You got these scripts and stuff. It's like, oh, you should build up that social media presence, especially on YouTube. Like, make them videos, like, write the articles, make some videos. You could write articles, hire editors to make captivating videos while you cover what you wrote. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, that's like all the stuff I watch on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
It's usually one guy that just reads a script, then it's always in front of like a really well like paired up video. Every single one of them. They're all informative. Yep. That's the future. It's a shame that these sites just don't adapt.
It's pretty crazy. Paul finishes with this. It's hard to see this getting better. I feel for my colleagues who are enduring this sort of thing essentially every month at this point. And I feel like the recent Google AI push, especially in the Mad Max dust storm of the horizon, poised to blow everyone away for good. God help us all. Good luck and Godspeed, Paul Tassi. We love your work.
Yeah.
And our condolences go out to everyone at Eurogamer and these outlets that are unfortunately getting slashed because of
getting cooked
because of a late stage capitalism. Like, you just hate to see it.
Well, I think it's just technological advancement. The AI stuff is really big. Yeah. In terms, like, we've been reading these articles, and I don't think we're really loyal to, I don't know, it could be my own bias or ego in the way, but I don't think we're really loyal to one name publication to another. I think some of them definitely have reputations that we might want to like be mindful of. Like, how do they get the like the what's it called? I literally just said the word. Not recommendations.
The reputation?
Reputation, jeez. I'm blanking over here, dude. It's been a tough week. But yeah, so like what he said here about inconsistent opinions across dozens of writers who have diverse viewpoints, that's a prime example of just being a really big publication studio. A lot of people don't look at the authors. They don't really know that author personally. They don't understand what their opinions are. So when you read one article, IGN's really bad about this too. You'll read one like review of a game and they'll be like, this is an amazing game. And then you'll read the next like review from the same website and they'll just be destroying that game, like literally.
No.
The same game, two different reviews, same website. And it really messes up the opinions of the publication. So I could definitely see how this is becoming a huge issue. I don't know. The original article is about IGN purchasing more gaming sites and journalism becoming a little bit more, I don't know, turbulent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you and I have been seeing that for the last like 2 years. It's just total chaos here in video games.
Yeah, sure is. I think, look, development of AI and everything, it's certainly, I think we're certainly going to see effects across many different industries. But for something like writing, I think it's especially detrimental. We're starting to see early effects of like how detrimental it can be to like, especially careers and stuff like that. Because it's like, with AI, I mean, you get this generated text and like, generated like titles or synopses of articles are like actually pretty accurate for the most part if you use specific tools. So it's like, it's kind of scary. I mean, you're not going to read the whole article or go to it if it's like AI can just explain it in a paragraph, give you the bullet points. I mean, that's going to become more and more prevalent, I think, which is unfortunate. But I think we're seeing kind of where we're starting to see what that could look like for certain industries in like just in news in general right now, especially around gaming and stuff. It's like just it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is really going to just come down to articles and, well, not articles, writers, editors becoming their own individual brand and breaking away from these larger conglomerates of newspaper publications, or the publications end up turning into a talent organization. What's it called?
Talent agency.
Talent agency, and the talent becomes the writers, and then you put all
Yeah.
the writers up in front of a video because AI can't. I mean, AI can, but I feel like humans instinctually know when something's real and fake.
Yeah.
Like,
However,
if I
Mike,
hear that same AI voice on another TikTok or YouTube video, like, you know what I'm talking about? It's always the same one saying the same crap, and it's like, dude, this is not good. I need to hear like an actual person. I'm more likely to stick around if it's an actual unique voice that I've never heard before
it's
than I
true.
am for the same AI bot. But what were you about to say? I
No,
kind of cut you off.
I was just gonna say, like you say that, like, oh, it's easy to differentiate AI from from real.
For now.
But
For
what?
now.
But it is gonna get there where it's gonna be like, I'm terrified. This is the exact same. This I can't tell if this is real or
Yeah.
not, and that's where it's gonna get like, and like, oh man, I don't want to spiral too much just thinking about it. But it's like, how are people gonna react to that? And it's like, you like, will more people not trust like the internet as much or social media as much? Maybe in turn, is that a good thing because it'll drive society away from like that to try and find something real? I like that's very optimistic, but I don't know. It's like it makes you wonder kind of
Dude.
what that future is going to be like. Whenever there's more and more fake stuff on the internet, it's like you can't trust it. It's like, all right, we're just what's going on with the internet? Like, what kind of effects is it going to have long term on the internet? Makes you wonder.
It's gonna get really real. It's like weird, but also real. So when you disconnect from technology and you go outside, it's gonna be like the Matrix. When you've never seen the Matrix, have you? I don't
No,
think you
it's
have.
on my list. It's on my list, Mike.
Dude, there's this one scene where Neo's the main character. He gets pulled out of the Matrix, and when he finally gets shown what the real world is and like everything about it, Morpheus, who's kind of like the I don't know, his mentor and guide throughout his new like life experience. The thing he says to him is so ridiculous, but it's so true. He's like, "Welcome to the land of the real," and it just like shows how desolate the world is and why the Matrix is like a fairy tale land. And he like pulls off the mask on Neo.
Oh
It's like
man,
very unique, and I think if we go down this route of AI taking over everything and we can't differentiate between what's real and what's not when we're using like technological devices, electronics at all, or like watching TV, and it's gonna be everywhere, right? When we finally go outside and like go camping or go out to like see music or something like in the real world, that's gonna be our new experience where it's gonna be so raw, I
that's what I'm
think.
saying.
It
I
could like
just,
make
oh,
reality way more intense.
it's like,
If for people that are like obsessed with technology and fully like encompassed,
yeah,
like I don't know. I'm kind of just spitballing here.
yeah, I don't
Hey,
know.
puppy.
I like to be optimistic and think that I'll kind of swing that because over the especially like over the past like 6 months to a year, it's kind of just like I've been trying to kind of wean off social media more in general. So it's kind of just like
Yeah.
just try to experience more in person. So I don't know. I like the optimist in me is kind of like maybe this will drive people to kind of experience the real, like you're saying, a little bit more. But I don't
Yeah.
know. But it stinks for
You
stuff
know,
like
I
this because we have no it's gonna get to a point where we have no idea what's real and fake probably when it comes to articles and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I want to build kind of like a comparison here. Okay. So in the 1950s, maybe even earlier than that, we used to have marketing in the United States promoting smoking. And they even had doctors saying smoking was a really, really good thing for you. Everybody did it. They would smoke indoors, smoke on planes, they would smoke everywhere, and everybody'd be
Yeah.
cool with it because they're like, this is a good thing, right? And it wasn't until the people that kind of grew up with that and then started like developing cancerous issues with their body and like all the different health risks that come with that became well known that the laws and the regulations came into play and actually changed.
Yeah.
So I think I can speak to the United States, and I know it is in some other countries where there's really old people that didn't grow up with technology and they don't understand what's actually happening on the internet or how it even functions. I mean, just look at the Mark Zuckerberg Congress interrogation stuff,
Yeah.
and he had to explain how the internet works to them, and they were all completely clueless because they just don't know what they don't know, right? It's like talking to your boomer parents or like grandparents. But when they are no longer making the policies, and I get like your and I's generation start doing that, I think there's going to be more regulation of like, hey, social media might not be good for kids that are under 17.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could be messing you up a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like Twitter is a plus 13 site and you are 2 replies away from literal porn. That's not cool.
Dude,
Like,
I
you
can't
know what
get
I
over
mean?
it.
Like,
Oh, I hate it.
but I think that's what's going to happen with AI because it's going to be a great tool with a lot of pros and cons. And
Yeah.
there's no regulation right now, so it's going to be like the Wild West. Anything goes right now. It's
Right.
going to be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's true too. Hopefully at
Okay.
some point there'll be some regulations. I think it's an interesting comparison between like, smoking to AI and stuff like that. Kind of,
Oh,
of
yeah.
how that can, how that does advance over time and how it can be more people regulated. Hopefully something like that happens for sure. But yeah. And I just have to say, like I think we talked about that whenever Elon bought Twitter, the downfall of Twitter, and how it's not gonna be the same site. It's showing, dude. It's showing. I'm agreeing with you, man. It's just so bad, dude. It just like replies are either pornographic stuff or it's replies completely unrelated to the original post, and it's just like trying to like engagement farm. It's ridiculous, dude. Can't
It's
look at
absolutely
replies, dude.
terrible,
Can't
too.
do it. It's crazy. It's wild, Iron Man. Yeah, can't do it. I'm starting to dislike Twitter to a certain extent. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm not on it nearly as much as I used to be. And I also think I got a little like shadow banned because once you get put into a community on Twitter, if you start changing your reply section, then nobody will interact with you because like your content, because your previous content was for a different like era or like a different community. So when you switch communities, it's like you start from scratch. It's very bizarre. At least that's what I've noticed, especially when you don't have maybe a personal following on any platform
Yeah,
like that.
it's
Yeah.
it's wild, man. But you know what? It's time to look at something pretty cool, Mike. I think.
Oh yeah, this one's actually pretty exciting. So I was excited when you found this. So I love Super Mario 64. This article is coming from Kotaku. Pretty cool. So this one is a new Super Mario 64 mod lets you build and share your own levels. Now I don't think this is really anything new, because Mario Maker
Yeah,
exists.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nintendo isn't going to be making a new Mario Maker featuring 3D levels, so the fans have done it themselves. Pretty interesting. Alrighty, so once again, fans and modders are doing the work that Nintendo won't. This time it's a new tool out now that lets anyone quickly and easily make custom N64, sorry, not N64, Super Mario 64 levels and share them with friends online. 2015's Super Mario Maker and its 2019 Switch sequel are incredible popular games, letting anyone make and share good or horrible 2D Mario levels. However, ever since Mario Maker 2's release, many have wanted Nintendo to develop and launch a 3D spin on the formula, maybe called, I don't know, he says, something like Super Mario Maker 3D. Just spitballing here. Anyway, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon. But don't worry, there's a new Super Mario 64 mod that basically turns the classic platformer into Super Mario 64 Maker. And I'm sorry, I didn't actually mention who wrote this article. Zach Swisen. Swisen? We always do the same thing with his last name. We cover him a lot.
Yeah.
All right, I believe I'm on May 19th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So on May 19th, modder and fan developer Rovertronic released Mario Builder 64, a new mod for the original Super Mario 64 game that lets you build your own levels using easy-to-use menus and controls. Watching the mod in action, it looks as good as something officially made by Nintendo. It does look clean, doesn't it?
It's
Very
kind
cool.
of sick. I'm not gonna lie. It's just
Look at all
wild.
the
This is
Goombas.
in Super Mario, like Super Mario 64. This is in that game. Like what? It's pretty neat.
It's dope.
Pretty neat.
Really cool. Setting up Mario Builder 64 isn't as easy as just putting Mario Maker 2's cart into your Switch and hitting play. But luckily, there's a full guide on getting the mod up and running that will walk you through the steps. You also need an emulator to play the levels and your own SM64 ROM. Mario Builder 64 doesn't include the original game to avoid the era, I think? To avoid the era of Nintendo's very watchful lawyers. Yeah, that's intentional because Nintendo will
Sure.
cook you in the courts, bro. Absolutely
Put you
cook
in the
you.
pan. Yeah, it's wild.
Very nice sound effect there. So, once you've got it all up and running, Mario Builder 64 is intuitive and impressively well made. If Zach had never played Mario or Super Mario 64 and was shown this mod in action, he might just have believed it shipped with the original game back in the 90s. There's no way.
It's really that good.
I don't think we ever had a N64 map builder that I could think of from my memory as a child. But that
Yeah.
is pretty clean. I think this is pretty sick. It brings in a little bit of spice, a little bit of spice back to the old classic. And I could see a dedicated community getting involved in this.
Yeah, I could see speedrunners going crazy with this. Like,
Oh, that's a
just
good
make them
point.
available.
Yeah.
Make them
There's a
available.
huge speedrunner community with this. Yeah.
Yeah, they go nuts on these. For sure. It's crazy to think
It
these
looks
are
good.
all like handmade. It's wild.
It is. Yeah. It's pretty clean. I think the most interesting thing about it will be how Nintendo handles it
Oh yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
big into going after community made stuff. I mean, dude, they shut down. I always bring it up. They shut down the Melee community or Smash Bros community.
Yeah.
That's insanely popular. I can only imagine what they're gonna do to somebody using their most iconic character ever and taking a very classic, well beloved game. I mean, you got to be a fan to do this, right? So how
Yeah.
harsh could they be? It's hard to say. Nintendo's not the best when it comes to, I don't know, encouraging consumers and fans.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, man? Is this something you want to look into?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'll say it's very cool. Don't know if I'd ever download something like this, at least not right now. If I get into Super Mario 64 one day, might be worth downloading. I just think it's super impressive. The fact that,
Yeah.
it's made in Super Mario 64 and I think Zach's point's funny about like I would have thought it was shipped with the game, but yeah, there's no way they'd be able to fit a whole like Mario Maker style customization thing on that cart. But yeah, I think overall it's I don't know, it looks cool. It literally looks like, I mean, but to his point, like all the fonts and everything, it's like from the game, right? So it looks like it was, I can see what he's saying when, this is something that if the capability was there at the time and it shipped with it, this is what I would think it would look like. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool how there's an entire community that's making a whole bunch of these levels and they're sharing them with each other. So that could be pretty cool. Zach said he found people putting 30 Bowsers into a giant pool of water and letting Mario suffer. So
oh my gosh.
that sounds
gosh.
insane. I can see a lot of action coming out of this and a lot of good content for content creators. I know there's a lot of speedrunners out there and that they have dedicated communities, so we're probably going to see some viral videos in the coming weeks.
Yeah, some
I would
custom
imagine.
levels. They're pretty sick.
It'd be, yeah, I'm all about it, dude. Allow fans to just be creative and have fun.
Yeah. True. True.
Speaking of creative, yeah, so
Hey.
here's a cool one. We're going to get a little bit more creating narrative-based AAA franchises. Some new ones. We'll see how that actually plays out. And if you want to give us some more context, why don't you go ahead?
Listen, dude.
Kyle?
I'll give you the article right now. It's from guess what outlet it's from, Mike? I'll take a guess.
IGN, like
It's
all
from,
of them, it
it's
seems.
from the Monopoly. No, I'm just kidding. It's in the late stage capitalism, baby. There it is.
Oh, goodness.
IGN. Activision opens new studio tasked with creating a narrative-based AAA franchise. You know who likes narrative-based AAA franchises, Mike? Me, say me.
You.
That's what I'm saying,
You
dude.
love it.
I'm all about this. Elsewhere Entertainment will seek to create a state-of-the-art and next-generation gaming experience that we will see in 6 to 7 years from now. Unfortunately, Mike, it's gonna take that long.
Yeah,
2030. Yeah,
it always does, dude.
kind of
But at least we
unfortunate.
get some context, you know?
Yeah, I'll be 33. Yeah, I'm just not to make you feel old or anything. Yeah. Here we are.
I just got dated.
All right, Mike. Listen, Kat Bailey wrote this article. talking about this. Activision has announced the formation of Elsewhere Entertainment, a new studio that says it says will focus on developing a narrative-based and genre-defining AAA franchise. Genre-defining. That's pretty bold. It's a bold statement.
It is, dude.
Elsewhere Entertainment, which is based in Warsaw, Poland. For those that don't know where Warsaw is Activision's second Polish studio after the Krakow-based. Is that Krakow? Krakow? I think it's Krakow, right?
Krakow, I think.
Krakow.
Yeah, Krakow.
Based.
Yeah, do Krakow.
Yeah, Krakow. Krakow-based Infinity Ward, Poland. Studio has been working behind the scenes up until now, and this is the first public unveiling. Elsewhere, adverb, at, in, from, or to another place or other places. Anywhere or somewhere else. So, according to the blog post revealing the new studio, Elsewhere Entertainment's team includes storytelling experts who have previously worked on franchises that include The Last of Us, Uncharted, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, Destiny, The Division, and Far Cry. That's a pretty good slate of titles right there, Mike.
That is really good, yeah.
Pretty good slate of AAA narrative-based titles. It is currently recruiting developers in hopes of creating a state-of-the-art and next-generation gaming experience, which IGN understands is not a Call of Duty-related project. That's good news. I'm going to be honest. Much as COD's cool, it's not... Do I want another COD game, Mike? Do I want another COD game? We're going to find out the next one's good in about, 2 weeks, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, we're coming up, dude. It's coming out soon.
Yeah. It's going up. Little else is known about Elsewhere Entertainment's first franchise, though the post does mention that the studio hopes to craft a franchise with an enduring legacy that resonates far beyond games. That would seem to point to a transmedia franchise that will try to replicate the success of Last of Us and Fallout, or maybe just get its own theme park. These are very bold stuff coming out the gate, Mike. Activision's kind of going all in, I feel like, trying to get this...
I think it's. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do. I mean, we can go into it at the end. We got a couple more paragraphs, but I think it has a lot to do with how Microsoft and Xbox want to get their money back. So they're really pushing for Activision to start getting some new titles out. Definitely start captivating the existing audience with new merchandise or new avenues of revenue.
Yeah, very true. To this point, Activision has mostly been known for its work on the Call of Duty series, with Crash Bandicoot developer Toys for Bob opting to go independent following the Xbox acquisition. In addition to the Crash Bandicoot games, Activision Publishing also released Sekiro Shadows Die Twice and Destiny. Elsewhere Entertainment's opening stands out in an industry that has lately been rocked with layoffs. We covered it the other week about Pingo Game Works and all that stuff. It's unclear when Elsewhere Entertainment's game will be released, though based on estimated development timelines, it's likely to be a few years yet. In the meantime, Activision appears to be preparing for revealing the next Call of Duty on June 9th, Xbox Showcase Day. Very excited stuff for that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of info about that. Hopefully.
Yeah, they say a few years for this game. Unless it's been cooking already for a couple years, it's gonna be 5 to 6 years. If I had to sit here and make a guess, assuming they started recently, right? If they started a year ago, maybe its timeline's a little shorter. But yeah, it's gonna take some time because these AAA games. If you're trying to make a genre-defining AAA game, Mike, you're gonna be taking 5 to 6 years in the current climate. So, just how it is.
I mean, I feel like that's fair. But this whole genre-defining AAA franchise, those are just buzzwords to me, man. They don't mean anything.
I was about to say, yeah, it's a whole lot of buzzwords.
The only thing that I really want to see is this narrative-based game.
Yep.
That's what really matters to me. I don't want to have another stupid, boring, nothing going on kind of game,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, the whole genre-defining stuff. You think I'm going to listen to that, Mike? You think I'm going to internalize that and be like, yes, you're definitely going to make that? Because in this day and age, like, granted, Activision, a lot of money, cool, that's wonderful. But it's like, I have a feeling like they're going to say all this, and then we're going to get a reveal trailer, and it's going to be most people scratching their heads or confused or something like that. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel like whenever we hear studios talk about this and talk like this, it's like, it's just like you set yourself up for failure almost, because like you're saying all this stuff, and then if it's nowhere near that expectation, just from the first reveal or something like that. It's like people are already just like not interested. So it's a little scary when you say stuff like this. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's really hard to say though. I mean, do you think this is a long shot? Do you think this is something that we didn't see coming though?
What, like a genre defining
Like,
title?
well, just the so what we've experienced this last week is Microsoft. I'm not gonna say they're overstepping Xbox and the Xbox game studios, but they really just noticed, oh crap, this Activision Blizzard deal cost a buttload of money.
Yep.
We need to make sure shareholders make their money back. So what do? Okay, let's go reevaluate the studios under Xbox games and figure out what the heck's going on. And then they started closing the ones that were underperforming, right?
Yep.
They might have closed out one that probably shouldn't have been closed down because they made a really good IP. However, they weren't bringing in consistent revenue.
Yep.
I could see that being an issue. So what do you do now? Well, we definitely want to see Activision like return on investment as soon as possible. So what do? Okay, we need to find a new game. So new IP, new audience, and how do you do that? Well, Elden Ring was super popular. Senua Saga looks pretty decent. What's it called? The Alan Wake 2 was amazing.
There you go.
And why Baldur's Gate 3. Those are all narrative-based games. They're all genre-defining games. So I think they're just trying to captivate that audience and realize like, oh wait, we can actually go back to what made gaming beautiful, like single story, play it all the way through, and then afterwards there's supplemental like multiplayer to help out with maintaining an audience playing your game.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Train IP. Next thing you know, you got a theme park, dude. So many things can happen, and I think that's really what's going on here.
Yep.
Is just getting people excited, and I mean, it should be happening.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be optimistic,
Yep.
but you never really know when it comes to Microsoft.
Oh yeah,
and
I mean,
Activision in particular.
And let me tell you, morale's way down after last couple weeks, and it's just
no
not
kidding, dude.
And it's just like it's hard to get excited about Activision stuff right now. I feel like, and I don't know, Xbox Showcase. I'm hoping there's some cool stuff, but I also have a feeling too, like yeah, some people obviously are gonna forget kind of what happened, but I think there's still gonna be a decent amount of people that are just like, well, we saw what you did a month ago. Like what are like what's going on, kind of thing.
Well, it's not just a month ago, is it? It's because we've seen so many layoffs throughout the entire gaming industry.
Yeah.
I think this could be Microsoft or Xbox, their biggest showcase in a long time. Or
Hopefully.
it could be I'm not gonna say biggest ever, but it's gonna be a very important showcase. It's not gonna be your typical one that just kind of updates. Oh yeah, we got a couple of cool games coming out. It's like, nah, man. Like we had 25,000 people get laid off just in your umbrella. This ain't gonna be chill. You got to come out and show that this is gonna be good.
If this don't hit, Mike, if this don't hit, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be upset. I think most people are too.
They're gonna get cooked on social media. 100%.
I feel like no matter what they do,
either way,
they're gonna get cooked.
Yeah,
yeah.
If it's underwhelming, they're gonna get cooked by the people that are just like, oh, it wouldn't have been underwhelming if you would have kept so and so. Like you guys had bad business practices. You're ruining everything.
Yeah.
Or if it turns out to be amazing games, it's gonna be like, well, if you have all this money to make these amazing games, why'd you fire everybody?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
gonna be rough.
I mean, Xbox is at a point already where they just can't win, so they have to,
Right now, no.
So yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, think about the Xbox layoffs, stuff like that too. I know we had a whole article couple weeks back about Phil Spencer, and like obviously like there's been a lot of under his kind of leadership, there's been a lot of crap that's happened. And I think to a certain extent too, especially these layoffs, it's hard for me to think that it was like Phil's decision. I feel like it was like Satya or the Microsoft CEO and kind of that like high level stuff that they were coming to him and being like, look, you gotta cut jobs somewhere because again this we're not, Game Pass isn't doing as well as we'd hoped, and this Activision Blizzard acquisition's already like rearing its head. So like some things have got to go. So you're looking at like the Blizzard. If you look at like the Blizzard acquisition stuff, I mean, and Blizzard, am I saying Bethesda? If you look at the Bethesda acquisition stuff, you'll see a lot of those studios, and like just looking through them, I mean, You have like the major ones, like the id Softwares and the Machine Games working on the Indiana Jones stuff. You got the Bethesda Game Studios, the namesake, the poster child of kind of Bethesda, and then you have Tango Gameworks and all these other kind of smaller ones. And it was kind of just like, well, if we have to cut some of these, then it's obviously it's unfortunately gonna be kind of Tango and those other ones. Still not the Tango especially it still sucks that it's not the right move in my opinion. Just from a morale standpoint. Yeah. But
I mean, other studios saw it happen. They're just like, what?
Yeah.
That was our umbrella company, like our parent company doing that to you. That's nuts.
And I don't know about Ninja Theory now. I have my doubts about Ninja Theory. That's even with Hellblade 2 hopefully being a good title. Still, like, it's weird when I think about it. You know when Hellblade 1 came out, Mike? You know what year it came out?
90s, right?
Well, the first Hellblade game. The first Hellblade game that came out.
Hellblade. Oh, Hellblade. Okay, my bad. For some reason, I was thinking Helldivers, and even then, I'm probably way off. Hellblade, no, mid 2000s.
No. First, so Hellblade 1, it was a Xbox One title, I think. It was like right before, Xbox Series X, whatever. Anyways, that came out middle of 2017. It was August of 2017 to be exact. And then Hellblade 2 comes out. I mean, do some math. What was that? 7 years later, we're getting Hellblade 2.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, 7
and
or 8. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played the full game yet, but from what I've heard, it's about the same length as the first game. 8-9 hours. If you really just don't know what you're doing, it's like you're taking. I mean, that's almost an hour a year, Mike. Like that is. Oh man, that is a long time for a game like Hellblade. Don't get me wrong.
Audio design. Really think about from
audio design. Yeah, audio design stuff's fantastic so far, but it's just like, I mean, that's a long time for 8 hours, and so it's stuff like that kind of makes you worried about Ninja Theory. Hopefully they can work on something else and kind of stay afloat. Before that, they did a Devil May Cry reboot title back in like 2013, but then they kind of did that and they went into Hellblade stuff and they found some footing with Hellblade. And it's like just as the studio's finding its footing and finding an IP to work with, it's like, oh man, the future's uncertain. So, I don't know. I think circling back to all this, Elsewhere Entertainment, curious to see what they make. I go into anything Activision or Xbox at this point with a very high caution of optimism and just, I want to see what they work on. But just coming out saying state-of-the-art genre-defining experience, which made me think for this show, a great idea is to do a tier list of the genre-defining games for each genre. But that's another day, I think that'd be interesting to see what we think would be genre-defining in a certain genre. Could be very fascinating. But
yeah, I think we could definitely have fun with that.
Yeah, for sure. But needless to say, I'm curious to see what Elsewhere Entertainment's going to do. I had the logo and stuff. I like the blurred background and everything. It's kind of like, is this a tease? What are we looking at here? Probably pick this image for days. But oh man, I'm cautious, Mike, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's the best. That's the word of the day, man. Being cautiously optimistic. I think because I don't want us to be negative as a podcast. I would like to give some real takes that our opinions are based on, but I don't want to be like overwhelmingly negative. Things aren't really looking that good in gaming industry though. Hopefully Activision and Elsewhere Entertainment can make this happen. And there's a lot of good Polish studios out there that are crushing it.
It's true, man.
So
those EU studios go crazy, dude. I'm just saying.
They do. They hit, man. They hit. So
talking about CDPR, aren't they in Poland?
Yes, they are. I believe so.
I think so. But yeah, dude. I mean, come on. They made a genre-defining IP in Witcher. I mean, come on.
That's a fact. So, yeah, that's a fact.
They're doing something right, baby. You got people from Last of Us. You got people from Witcher. You got people from all these different IPs. Division, Uncharted, Last of Us. Those are very, very strong narrative-based titles.
100%. So they obviously have talent and they understand how to assemble a proper game. Every single one of those is a good game.
Yeah.
Or has good games within the IP. So
very good.
That's plenty of talent. I think it's just more, and they're definitely gonna have the finances for sure. They're gonna have the funding. So now it's just a matter of time, effort, and teamwork. Really, that's what's gonna That's what's it's gonna come down to.
If it's genre defining, Mike, that budget better go crazy, dude.
That's a fact. It's gonna have to. But I feel like you don't need to spend all your budget on like graphics, man. I think you just need to have a good game. And I'll die on that hill.
Yeah.
I really will. There's so many good indie games that just look like poop and they play phenomenally. Or there's some games that are just like you don't have to have 8K resolution and make it super realistic and go over the top or have like crazy physics. Just dude, make a good game. Make it entertaining and make it fun to play.
There was a great engine out there called the Unreal Engine. They've released Unreal Engine 5. It's so good that CD Projekt Red has shifted from their in-house Red engine to Unreal Engine. That should tell you something.
That's
because that's a good engine, especially on Cyberpunk. Like the photorealism and like the recent updates and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's a solid engine, and they're moving away from that. So I think it's very telling as to, kind of how good Unreal Engine 5 could be, and hopefully maybe accelerate the process a little bit more in some aspects of game development. So
yeah, Unreal Engine 5 is really turning out to be a industry, not defining, but like industry standard.
Yeah, for sure.
For game development. And I think when there is an industry standard, I mean, you know this because you work with code. When you have like a universal language that everybody uses, things get a little bit easier. It's easier to recruit, and you can transfer your skills from one not profession, but one company to the next if they're still using the same platform. That's really helpful.
Yeah, certainly can. Yeah, it's interesting. I saw a feature recently in Unreal Engine 5, kind of, feature. I think it was like a feature preview or something like that. That was for Unreal Engine 5. And I think they've had it in past versions, but it was a guy kind of filming a scene in like a narrative-based game, and he was filming the scene. In the actual in the engine, he actually linked it to his tablet, and so when he was filming the scene, he was using his tablet to emulate an actual camera. So like, how you get those shaky camera movements in like God of War and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's a part of that is, and for games like that, it could just be the mocap and like them actually filming the stuff like that and then, rendering it out later. But like probably a cheaper option is like they literally just go into Unreal Engine 5, and if there's a scene they want to add motion to, they'll just hook it up to a tablet and they'll emulate camera motion. I think stuff like that's like so fascinating to me. It's like it's that easy to just like add some motion to a scene.
It's brilliant.
But it's a tablet, so it's like human like, and it's like you're actually filming kind of thing. I think it's pretty cool. So
yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Maybe they can get one of those tablets that we keep covering, or like handhelds, and repurpose them, integrate it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting like things in game development that I have learned about just from like looking at showcases of engines and stuff like that, and even watching some of the developer press conferences where they'll like GDC and whatnot where they talk about really, the details
explain it.
So, like this, it was made using this. It's really like most people probably wouldn't find it interesting, but when they talk about the tech stack they use for certain things, and so you see like different game developers kind of break down like, well, we used this whole like animation package, and we used a totally different system for the dialogue and the quest building, and it's like they used all these different applications. It's like, yeah, no wonder it takes so long to make these games, because there's like 50 million applications that they use and that people are specialized in to make certain things work. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love those like mini docs after how the game was made, behind the scenes kind of stuff. That's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of like behind the music that MTV used to do about like 50 years ago. That was pretty cool.
Oh man, I remember watching the Blink-182 thing of that. Very good, by the way.
Oh, I loved it.
Of the 2003 album. That's so good.
Oh, it's so good. I love all that stuff, especially if you're already a fan of like, I guess in this case when we're talking about video games, if you're a fan of the IP. Like I remember I used to watch all the Halo 3 like behind the scenes like teaser trailers when they're leaking different things. They're like taking screenshots of people's monitors, and you can only see like one item, and they're like, check this out, it's so cool. And everybody gets excited. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. It's really cool.
Seeing all the Bethesda ones, seeing all the, Sony Santa Monica with God of War, they make good ones. Naughty Dog makes good ones. Yeah. It's cool to see whenever they bring someone in to just kind of capture the process. So share with the world.
Yeah, I think, and not only are they sharing with the world, but they choose the right person, the person that's like, you can just see it in the way they behave, the way they act. You can see it in their body language. They're just obsessed and super passionate.
Yeah.
And when you have that, it's so captivating to watch somebody talk about something. Yeah. It's very entertaining.
It's true. If anyone is looking for some good game documentaries that are actually like, it was actually a channel where I think it was by like a past like journalist or something like that. He started his own documentary based YouTube channel that has like a Patreon and everything. It's called No Clip. And they've made fantastic documentaries across many different, studios. that were completely crowdfunded. So it's pretty cool to say they're very professional and it's awesome. So if anyone wants to see documentaries and stuff like that, check out NoClip because they make good ones.
I think you've actually sent me one of those before. Or
I might have.
at least.
Yeah, they make they make
Rings
good
a
ones
bell.
for crowdfunding stuff. It's very well done. So
Yeah, very nice. Well, hey man, I think we're gonna let the people go because that's all we got for this week in terms of gaming news.
that's all we got.
If you're cool with that, yeah. All right. Well, let me just go ahead and wrap up, and then I got to get out of here. So, what we usually do is we remind everybody that our social media links are in the description below, wherever you're watching and listening. Check us out. We appreciate you. But most importantly, if you make it to the end of these episodes, just want to remind you we do have timestamps and descriptions. I'm really struggling today, man. I'm sorry. Descriptions of the articles that we've covered, and we do have links for these articles. So definitely go give the love to the actual publications, check them out, and yeah, I guess that's really it. Do you have anything you want to add, Kyle, before we do the send off?
No, I don't think so, dude. Excited for new games, dude.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think maybe next week. No, we got 2 more weeks until we really talk about the games that are coming out in June. But I'm not gonna wait. I think next week we're gonna talk about which games are gonna come out in June, and then I think you and I should probably sit down and try to do a tier list, or at least come up with a plan for that industry defining. I'm thinking you and I can do
like a genre defining.
We'll come genre defining. Yeah, we'll pick out like 5 different genres. You pick out your games, I'll pick out my games, and then we'll discuss. I think that'd be cool.
I like that.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll talk about it later off air. But anyways, we'll let you guys go. We do appreciate you for tuning in. This is the M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Antony. My co-host right here is KyleHeath. We definitely appreciate you. Like, subscribe. See you next week, and have a good one. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Happy,
Keep going.
Happy holiday weekend if you celebrate.
Happy U.S.
For
holiday.
honor.